Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to Mr. Lee and my fellow classmates. My name is Nuhayati and Anis and I will be presenting task 3 for task 3 EDUP 3053, which is planning a lesson based on Azure model. So, what is Azure model? Azure model is an instructional system or guideline that teachers can use to develop lesson plans which integrate the use of technology and media. This is stated by Smeldinho and Lauter and Russell in 2008. On the other hand, Azure model is also argued as the peculiar feature of this model is that it is focused on planning and conducting instruction that incorporates media. This is according to Heneage, Molenda and Russell 1993. So, for the introduction of Azure model, the acronym stands for A. Analyze learners, S. State objectives, S. Select instructional methods, media and materials, U. Utilize media and materials, R. Require learner response, and E. as evaluation. So the history of the Azure model was developed by Henrich and Molenda in 1999. The purpose of this model is a 6-step instructional system design intended to help teachers utilize technology and media in the classroom. The advantages are it ensures that the learning environment is appropriate to students, and it can be used in lesson plans to improve your own teaching and students' learning while using technology. So as you can see from here, the Azure model stands for first, analyze learners, second, state objectives, third, select method, media or materials, fourth, utilize media and materials, fifth, require learners' participation, and lastly, evaluate and revise. So to conduct a lesson, we have chosen the application Quizzes to plan a lesson based on the Azure model. So what is Quizzes? A Quizzes is an online assessment tool that allows teachers and students to create and use one another's quizzes. Quizzes allows you to conduct student-based formative assessments in a fun and engaging way for students of all ages. As you can see, this is a website of the Quizzes page where you can enter a code of a game you're playing or log in or sign up to conduct your own game. Here we have features of Quizzes. Firstly, Quizzes is a student-based application where questions will appear on each of the students' screen, so they can answer questions at their own pace and review the answers at the end. This allows them to facilitate learning in an encouraging way. Next, another feature of Quizzes is there are two different types of modes to conduct games. Firstly, you can conduct games in a live session where it starts and ends automatically based on the teacher's commands. A student cannot resume game and will have to answer a question based on the specific time given. At the end of the game, there will be a live result dashboard where students can check their progress and ranking in the game. A teacher can also give homework as a mode to conduct the games, where the teacher can set up a deadline up to 2 weeks and it automatically ends by the deadline date. Quizzes also provide free tools where it is used by more than 20 million students around the world. The Quizzes provides free tools to teach and learn anything on any device, in person or remotely. So, how are we planning a lesson based on the procedure of the Azure model? Firstly, we analyze. The first step in the process is that the teacher should analyze the attributes of the learners. There should be a focus on those learner characteristics which are associated with the learning outcomes desired. So the analysis of the learners should include, first, the general attributes of the learners, which such as age, academic abilities, gender, interest, etc. Second, involves prior competencies, and lastly, the analysis should include learning styles of the students, such as auditory, visual, and tactile. Okay, to start planning integrating the Azure model into the lesson, we have concluded that the learners of this online teaching and learning are are Year 4 primary school students, where their proficiency language is average. The learners are familiar with the topics Care for the Sea and the materials used in the online teaching and learning platform. Using quizzes, we have integrated the learner's learning style, which leans more towards visual and audio. The next procedure is the state objective. The teacher must state standards and objectives for the learning module, which includes specification which focuses on what the learner will know or be able to do as a result of the instruction. The state objective can also be used to let the learners know what they will accomplish throughout the class. So to establish the state objective of the lesson, by the end of the lesson, Year 4 students will be able to identify the word class based on the topic Care for the Sea, answer questions through quizzes within the specific deadline, and lastly, check their results and review the questions they've completed. The next S of the Assure model is Select Method, Media, and Materials. Quizzes is chosen as the method of teaching as it allows teachers to achieve the learning objective without face-to-face interaction with the students during this new norm of the COVID-19 crisis. Quizzes ensure that students are able to learn about word classes in the topic Unit 6, Care for the Sea, by polishing more on their reading, listening, and writing skills. Quizzes also allows the teacher to carry out asynchronous learning as teachers are able to set a deadline on when the students should submit the quiz. Quizzes also suits learners' learning style, which is visual and audio, as the platform enables teachers to incorporate text, graphics, and audio into the quiz. As you can see here, this is the page of the teacher where they will be able to conduct their own lesson. And for this lesson, the title is Unit 6 Care for the Sea Word Class. At the bottom below, you can see that this quiz is targeted toward the 4th grade in the subject English. From these multiple options, the teacher can choose whether they want to conduct a quiz based on the multiple choice questions, checkbox, fill in the blank, poll, or open-ended questions. And for this lesson, we have chosen checkbox and fill in the blank. Teachers are also able to activate all sorts of settings for the questions. This will ensure that students will have a different experience each time if the teacher randomly chooses the setting. So for the game settings, you can see that the teacher can activate Show Leaderboard, where the students are able to check their progress and ranking on the quiz. The teacher can also set a timer on the questions to allow students to get more points for faster answers. The teacher can also activate memes to show funny pictures after each question, which motivates learners to learn better. Teachers can also play music on students' devices to motivate their learning. On the question settings, the teacher can jumble the order of the questions for the students randomly to allow them to facilitate learning better. The teacher can also decide whether they want to show answers after the questions or at the end of the game. Next, the teacher can also add memes in between the questions and power-ups such as a redemption question where students are able to answer one incorrect question again. This encourages students to learn effectively in a fun learning environment. Students will have to click on the correct answer before the time limit ends. During this, upbeat music is played. For instance, the question is, Alia's parents parked the car by the sea. Categorize the underlined word by its word class. To get the correct answer, the students will have to click the correct answer, which is verb. Other than that, teachers can also add media such as images from the web. This way, the students should type their answer before the time limit ends. This type of questions usually have a specific answer, but but it depends on the teacher whether the answer is relevant to the questions. Now Anis will continue on with the presentation. That is all for me. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Anissa binti Muhammad Samri from U5, and I will continue off from where my partner left, which is I will present the findings of the utilized media and materials to require learner participation and the evaluation and revise stage of the Assure model. So Lorillard 2002 stated that prior planning for using this equipment is important, and the teacher has to practice on his lesson before commencing it to guarantee that the lesson will go smoothly. So utilizing media and materials, it involves instructions on using the technology or media that the teacher has implemented. So in this case, the teacher is implementing quizzes. Next is teacher must prepare all the equipment to ensure the success of the lesson. So for this stage, utilize media and materials, there are a couple of steps that the teacher can do. The first one is preparing the materials. What this means is that the teacher must ensure the games are working properly. And teachers should also provide students with access codes for them to join the quiz. So next step is preparing the environment. So what this means is that teacher must make sure that students are equipped with working gadgets and that students have a secure internet connection to avoid any disruptions. So this is the access code that teachers can provide with the students for. So I logged in as a teacher and I created a quiz. So when I want to share the code or link with the students, I can just share this code either in WhatsApp platform or Google Classroom or anywhere else that students can see and access. So next is preparing the students. Teachers should inform the students on instructions to use quizzes. So maybe a day before using quizzes, teachers can explain how to use it and what should they do. Next is teacher demonstrates how to check their results and review the questions they've completed. Preparing the lesson, teachers must be prepared for any mishap or mistakes the students might face when practicing on quizzes. So this is for preparing the students. Teacher demonstrates how to check the results and review the questions they've completed. So when the students take a quiz, at the end of the quiz, this will pop up on their screen, which will show how many questions they got correct, how much time they took to complete one question, and so on. And also, this teacher can have asynchronous learning by starting a live quiz where every student will have to go into quizzes at the same time. Or teacher can have an asynchronous learning where they can assign a homework where the students have to complete the quiz before a certain time. So for instance, I assign the students a quiz that they have to complete before 10:45 p.m. So I will be able to see who did not complete the quiz before that time. The next phase of the Assure model is require learner participation. So quizzes allows you to conduct student-paced formative assessments in a fun and engaging way for students of all ages. Teachers can share the access code of the quiz via Google Classroom or Schoology. And for live quizzes, a time limit is set to allow a fair assessment between the students. After the deadline, quizzes will display the results of each student, allowing the teacher to monitor any absence. As we can see before, can share a link or share the access code via Google Classroom or Schoology, or even Twitter, anywhere that the students can access the link. So the next phase is evaluate and revise. The final step in the Assure model process is just as crucial as any other phase. In this step, you evaluate the impact of your teaching on student learning. This includes an evaluation of your teaching strategies and the technology, media, and materials that you have used. And through assessment, educators can apply the feedback received to structure a new and improved material. This is said by Tonsung Kwoklu, 2018. So some questions that can be asked by the teachers during this evaluation, like, did the lesson meet the learning objectives that were planned? Can this lesson be improved? How can this be improved? How are you going to assess the weakness in your presentation? Was your choice of media and materials a good one? How will you assess the effectiveness of these tools? All of these questions can be asked by the teacher either to the students or to other teachers as well. For this step, there are a couple of things that you can do, such as evaluating the learner's performance. This is already in the quizzes, where at the end of the quiz, both teacher and students will know what questions they got wrong at the result page. So teachers will be able to see how many students got the question wrong, and how they can improve the students' understanding of the topic, which is care for the sea. So evaluating the media use, teacher creates a survey via Google Form to get feedback from the students on the effectiveness of quizzes. So this is an example of a survey via Google Form. So can ask multiple choice questions or something like, is the application is easy to use, and they will have to click on their range. 1 is strongly disagree, and 5 is strongly agree. And did they have experienced any connection problem? So this survey can be used to further improve on the technology used during the teaching and learning process. So in conclusion, Quizzes is a suitable online teaching and learning platform because it allows teachers to conduct a student-paced formative assessment in a fun and engaging way for students of all ages. Wiley 2000 stated that designing a curriculum based on the Assure model not only helps learners to learn better, it also adopts the systematic process that helps teachers to save time and effort. And this is our reference list of what we cited in the PowerPoint above, and that is all. Thank you.